Hey everybody, I'm Brandon72Mo. Welcome to the second part of my fourth update of my 128 car, $76 million garage tour. If you want to see your own garages featured on my channel, send a tweet at Brandon72Mo with the hashtag Garage Tour. Each video in this update will start with the least expensive rides and work their way up in value. The vehicles in today's video are worth $2.7 million, and on Sunday, you'll be able to see the final video of this update with 11 vehicles worth $9.7 million. Overall, the 34 new vehicles in this three-part update are worth over $13 million. If you enjoy this video, please drop a like and get subscribed. Now, let's get to the cars. Up first is the Bravada Yoga. With the release of the Yoga Classic, which you'll see in the next video in this series, I thought it'd be cool to have the newer version of the Yoga as well. This version of the Yoga gets some pretty cool customization options available in Los Santos Customs that allows you to create anything from a high-roofed people hauler to a work truck to a racing van. And with the right performance modification, this Yoga does pretty well in the drifting scene if you can keep its momentum going. I don't know why, but I kinda dig the vans in GTA Online, and my collection feels more complete with this edition. Up next is the Alba D Cavalcade. In the first video in this update, you saw that a classic Granger that was inspired by the SUV that Tony Soprano drove. Well, this is the second SUV to be inspired by the Sopranos, as Tony drove a Cadillac Escalade in the later seasons of the show. I went with the older model Cavalcade in the game because it has more visual modifications available, including a sweet looking sound system that you can put in the back. That add-on does not give the same audio boost that the lowriders from Benny's receives, but it still looks cool. Overall, I'm really happy about how the Cavalcade turned out, and I've been even more impressed by how well it off-roads. The third vehicle in this update is the Classy Rancher XL. Speaking of off-roading, the Rancher XL is an absolute champ. This classic styled SUV has just the right combination of power and grip to get it up and over nearly any hill or mountain that you wish to climb. I've wanted the Rancher for quite a while, and since they're pretty easy to find and steal, I'm glad I finally picked one up. I only wish that Rockstar would add in the two-door, short wheelbase truck and SUV versions of the Rancher that we had starting back in Vice City. You can find rusted out junk versions of that SUV all over the map, so maybe one day, my wish will come true. The Classy Stallion is number 4 in this update to my $76 million garage tour. In my last round of garage tour videos, I featured the Burger Shot Stallion, and I mentioned that while I was happy to own a Stallion, I wasn't quite sure that the race car variant was the right one for me. Well, that race car version is gone, and I replaced it with the convertible that you're looking at now. It was the right choice because even though the stock Stallion is a bit slower than the race car version, I think it looks much better. While the Stallion is not going to win any races, it does have fairly impressive top speed and, if you learn how to drive it, can get around corners pretty damn quick. Up next is the Classy Vago. What true gearhead doesn't have a special place in their hearts for muscle cars? I know I do. The Vago helps to round out my muscle car collection with its classic Camaro, Firebird, and Barracuda inspired looks. For performance, well, it sits in the middle of the pack for all the muscle cars in the game, but that does not mean that it's a slouch. Like most muscle cars, it can get up to some decent top speeds, but it's not exactly sure what to do when it sees a corner. That doesn't matter though. With a good number of customization options, you can design a great looking muscle car that looks just as good sitting in your garage as it does oversteering right off the road and straight into a tree. Number 6 is the Dinka Thrust. And we're back to the bikes. In fact, the rest of the vehicles in this update video, and all but 3 in the next update video, are bikes. But is that really a shock though, since each of my characters owns an MC Clubhouse? The Thrust has okay top speed, but either due to its overall length or just poor traction, it can't really turn in well enough to carry that speed through a corner. I guess that's to be expected though, because this is clearly meant to be a sport touring bike and not a racing bike. The Thrust does give you a few visual modification options to create a unique ride, so if you want a bike that's nice to cruise around on, consider getting the Thrust. Before we move on to the next 6 vehicles in this update video, I want to remind you that you can have your own garages featured on my channel by sending a tweet at Brandon72Mo and including the hashtag Garage Tour. I'm an absolute gearhead, so I love looking at and talking about cars. If you enjoy cars as much as I do, and you're on PC, I'd love to feature your garages. Also, keep an eye out for an upcoming video in this series featuring all of my Pegasus vehicles, as well as further updates to my garages as I get new cars. If you want to see all of those vehicles, keep those likes coming. Next up is the Nagasaki Carbon RS. True to its name, everything on this bike seems to be made from carbon fiber. From the body, to the wheels, to the mudguards, and even a bit of the exhaust, there is carbon fiber everywhere you look. You can change the wheels on this bike, but that's it. There aren't any other visual modifications available, and since the whole damn thing's made from carbon fiber, there's no respray options at all. For performance, it has a respectable top speed, and it has really good handling and acceleration. Though it's not going to win any races, it's pretty quick and it has a nice, stealthy look to it. Our next vehicle is the Western Rat Bike. So let's just get the obvious out of the way. The Rat Bike is essentially nothing more than a rusty version of the Wolfsbane. They have nearly identical performance and, when you compare the two bikes side by side, the same appearance. And aside from liveries, both bikes have the same visual modification add-ons. The only thing that really separates the two bikes is price. The Wolfsbane is almost double the price of the Rat Bike. I happen to own both bikes, so I'm really not sure how long the Rat Bike is going to stick around. It's not that I mind the rusted out look. I mean, I adore my Rusty Rebel, and the Tornado Rat Rod, well, it's a rusty good time. But if I need space in my MC Clubhouse, the Rat Bike will probably be the first to go. Number 9 is the Zoom Sanchez. This is another bike that is on the list to be sold off when space becomes a premium. Why? Well, simply because it just doesn't really fit a need for me. It's not that the Sanchez does poorly off-road, because honestly it doesn't lose much speed at all in the dirt. But if I'm not mistaken, the Sanchez cannot be entered in an off-road race, and even if it could, the BF400 is still much quicker on both dirt and asphalt tracks. The Sanchez does have a lot of customization options available, so at least I was able to create a bike that is uniquely my own. But there's just something that I can't quite put my finger on that keeps this bike from earning a permanent spot in my collection. Number 10 for this update is the Western Nightblade. I really dig the Nightblade. This bike was clearly modeled after the Harley-Davidson Night Rod Special, and I love it. The visual modifications, while numerous, do not make drastic changes in the appearance of the Nightblade. But that's just fine because none of the add-ons detract from the overall design of this bike. Performance is, well, okay, with the Nightblade landing near the middle of the pack. But I don't keep this one around for its performance. I keep it around because it looks great and it's a nice bike for cruising around on in lobbies. Plus, I just don't see that many players riding Nightblades, so I like having something that's a bit unique. Number 11 is the Western Zombie Bobber. My biggest complaint with the Bikers DLC is the same one that I have for the Lowriders. Sure, there are a ton of customization options, but they're nearly all identical across all of the bikes. Unlike the Lowriders, however, a lot of the bikes in the Biker DLC already have similar appearances, so it starts to feel very repetitive very quickly. Still, I love the design that I came up with for my Zombie Bobber, and I like that Rockstar took the time to include a bobber style bike instead of just making them all sports bikes and choppers. And finally, number 12 is the Western Damon. You saw the original Damon in my last video, and this one is the new version that was released with the Bikers DLC. Now, while you can just steal the original Damon, this one is going to set you back $145 grand. And that's before you purchase any upgrades. So, why do I have both bikes if I can steal one and not the other? Well, this newer version does have its own customization options. Plus, I think the chrome details on this one are much brighter than those on the original Damon. In terms of performance, both Damons are practically identical, though at least this one makes a much nicer overall sound. I'll probably keep both Damons around for a while, especially since one is owned between each of my characters. So there you go, 12 vehicles worth roughly $2.7 million in the second part of my fourth update to my 128 car, $76 million garage tour. Remember to drop a like if you enjoyed this video and this series. And don't forget to look for new GTA Online Garage Tour videos as I get new cars, as well as a special video that will feature my Pegasus vehicles. Don't forget, if you're on PC, you can have your garage featured in a video on my channel by simply sending a tweet at Brandon72Mo and including the hashtag Garage Tour. You can also check out all of the videos in my Garage Tour playlist. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to follow me on social media. And come hang out with me and my friends on the Vainglorious forums and the Vainglorious Discord server. All of those links are in the description down below. I'm Brandon72Mo, and I'll see you in the next video.